Hello, this is Mahmoud El Khafif, and I would like to give you an introduction into the GOC civil engineering education. Most of you will be standing at the point where you have to decide which major direction of engineering you will be choosing for your further education. You have now finished your first year and need to decide in which direction you would like to go. Let me take as an introduction one of the current flagship projects in Egypt, the Grand Egyptian Museum, a worldwide unique structure and unique entity that will represent only one culture in the world, and it will be the biggest one to present one culture in the world. The project here in its beginnings, today it is almost finished, as a main structure just in front of the Pyramids Plateau in Giza. Very uniquely situated, a real grand project. And from the construction point of view, it is a very challenging and interesting structure, simply due to the individualistic shapes and properties of each building element, which made this structure one of the most demanding, actually, that is currently under construction. The complexity of construction and its elements, and especially the individualistic shape of all the building elements, required a special approach. This was, on a mega project, the first one where building information modeling was applied in Egypt. Building information modeling, or BIM, is based on digital construction. That means the entire project is being modeled in the design phase, including all its structural, architectural, mechanical, electrical components, fully detailed in all its properties that will allow the full modeling of an entire project. So we do not have any more structural drawings or architectural drawings or interior architectural drawings or mechanical electrical drawings. The entire project with all its trades is being modeled in one approach, which will then allow to integrate all the details. The big advantage is that this is being done before the construction starts, which gives us the big opportunity to optimize the design and to filter out all kinds of problems, all kinds of clashes between the different trades, to start construction really with an optimized design that will guarantee a smooth proceed. Civil engineering, what is it? We can start with the structural engineering, which is the classical one. Everyone who thinks about civil engineering thinks about structural engineering, but there, of course, are many other disciplines as well. Geotechnical engineering, transportation, water resources and water management, environmental engineering, and construction planning and management. These are the main branches which are also followed through in our curriculum. Civil engineering in general is probably the most diverse and most general branch of engineering, where the professionals can work in a big variety of fields. Basically, civil engineering is everywhere. All the built environment, buildings, bridges, tunnels, roads, water systems, sewage systems, all these infrastructure branches are part of civil engineering, and others as well, so that civil engineers will find their profession being represented basically in all kinds of our built environment. The structural engineering has to make sure that a structure is safe and sound and durable. The loads are determined on an assumed structure. The stresses are analyzed to make sure the structure is loaded in a way we can understand. And then a design has to make sure that those stresses can be borne by the structure in a safe way, in a durable way, to make sure that at no point in time a structure would fail. This model assumes a certain earthquake with a certain amplitude over a certain time, and we are simulating the way the structure would behave, of course in an accelerated way, but by this we can understand if the structure will be sound and safe under a certain assumed earthquake. On the right side we can see the erection process of a suspension bridge, where also the engineers are studying how the stresses will be developed and how the structure can bear those stresses. So this is a very short, brief introduction into structural engineering, the classical discipline of civil engineering. The geotechnical engineering has to study the soil conditions and the soil reactions of our structural implementation. We must not forget that all the structures we are building have to give their loads in a safe way into the subground. And the subground sometimes has to be stabilized, for example, with anchors, soil anchors to stabilize slopes, after having studied the slope behavior under certain impact patterns. Many buildings are placed on piles, which are helping to transfer the highly concentrated loads deeper into stronger subsoil strata, or a tunnel boring machine is due to erect a tunnel under an existing city, and the geotechnical engineering has to study the soil behavior to make sure that, for example, the settlements of those buildings will not exceed allowable limits due to the tunneling process. Transportation engineering, another important branch of civil engineering. The urban population is ever increasing. Urban centers are becoming bigger and more complex. There's demand on roads and highways, bridges, railways, ports, airports, and the traffic flows today, of course, are studied, software supported, they are simulated to make sure that traffic volumes can be safely flowing through the traffic arteries, to make sure that there will be a minimum, at least, of traffic jams and clogging. And all the time there will be development. It is not a static process. Traffic or transportation will all the time be on the move. And the traffic engineering and transportation engineering is aiming at a full study to make sure that the city can function. Water and environmental engineering. Everyone knows that water is a very critical commodity that is scarce internationally, worldwide. Water is a critical issue. especially fresh and sweet water that can be used for consumption. So we talk about water resource management, we talk about freshwater treatment, we talk about water distribution, and then the wastewater collection and disposal. Disposal in sewage treatment plants, which can be engineered in a way that the effluent, that means the outflow of the sewage treatment plant, can be used again. For example, for irrigation of horticultures or for industrial purposes. We have coupled the water engineering with environmental engineering, and that goes as far as power production through wind turbines or solar photovoltaic sites, concentrated solar plants, and also having new disciplines of waste collection, recycling, and disposal. Coming now to construction engineering and project management. This is the discipline where we want to make sure that the design that has been developed is also implemented. So we talk about the process of implementation of projects, and these can be very complex projects. One has to think about projects as large as shopping malls, hospitals, airports, large infrastructure projects like bridges, tunnels, highways, airports as well. And the engineering side of it is as important as the process. For example, this bridge has been built on more than 100-meter deep bore piles. This was the main challenging part of building this bridge. It was built in Vietnam. These piles were a world record, and a lot of research and development was involved to make sure that these piles could be bored down into the subsoil in a safe manner and could really fulfill the structural demands of this bridge in a very safe way. Construction engineering is based on the technical part, the construction methods, the methodology, the equipment and equipment technology, as well as on the managerial parts. We have to make sure that our projects are delivered in a timely manner. So that means schedule. Construction schedules are being erected. We have to make sure that projects are performed in the budget. That means we have to control our cost, a proper cost estimation, a cost control, and then in the end the accounting that makes sure that everything is properly documented. This is coupled to quality management, safety management, and of course the contract management, which makes sure that all parties are satisfied in the end in a contractual way, and that the project is being delivered as it is contracted. Let us now talk about the civil engineering program at the German University in Cairo. We will talk about our academics, our program, the labs, the activities, and the events. And let me go into more detail about the curriculum at this point. Like all the other engineering students at the GOC, also the civil engineering students are following through in the first and second semester with general basics and sciences for engineering in general. And the civil engineering education starts in the third semester, which is followed by the fourth and fifth semester with basic sciences for all civil engineering majors. So every student has the same selection and number of courses in the third, fourth, and fifth semester. The major specialization starts in the sixth semester, to be followed with the seventh, in structural engineering, transportation engineering, water, and general civil engineering. The general civil engineering is basically construction management. In the eighth semester, our students are doing their bachelor project and forming their bachelor thesis, fully independent with our guidance, of course, but they are really challenged to work on their own, to manage their own time, to manage their own tasks, to conduct their surveys, and in the end to conclude their thesis. And I can say it is each time a very positive experience for us as the teaching body to see our students starting their bachelor period as young researchers and then coming out much more matured at the end of this period. And it's always a good experience for both the students as well to have mastered this important semester. In the 9th and 10th semester, the major education is continued, and this time with an increasing number of elective courses where the students can choose their personalized selection of courses which is suiting their interest and possibly already their professional ambitions. The team of the civil engineering program is shown here on this slide. We have our founding deans, our current management, our program director, the vice directors, and all the team of the different disciplines. I can say by a little pride that we have a very steady group of academics who make sure that the curriculum of the program is delivered in a consistent way. Everyone is very engaged, and it is our mission to be of service to our students. And we can also say quite proudly that the program has produced quite a number of excellent students who are continuing in the academic way or who have done already quite some nice careers in the industries. Some social programs, of course, are part of our development. The program has own labs, hydraulic labs, where students are measuring hydraulic flow. They're measuring the impact of flows onto structures. We have our geotechnical lab, where materials are being tested. We have our environmental lab, where students are studying, for example, the effect of water flows, and here the material labs, where concrete, for example, is being designed, concrete mixes are designed, and specimens are produced, and then they are tested. The survey lab trains students in a very practical way. The basic survey, of course, with total stations until laser measurements, so that we can explore an entire building here, like our D building, by laser measurement, and this will create also basically drawings of already existing structures. We have done this also in Luxor with parts of the temples, where of course no drawings were available, but we have measured them with laser technology to recreate them in a digital way. An annual event is the bridge competition performed by students. Every student group is basically designing and modeling their own bridge, and then we have a competition on which bridge can carry the maximum loads. So this is already an annual event which is very highly sought after, and it's already quite a spectacular issue, and the winning student group, of course, will get a certain award. The Berlin campus is regularly visited by civil engineering students to give them an insight into how teaching in Germany is going with the same curriculum but with different teachers, so that certain exposure is also given and students can learn how other people are learning and teaching. So this will certainly enrich their horizon with new academic approaches. In the same time, we are also concentrating on site visits here in Germany to make sure that students are exposed and can have some kind of experience on how construction in Germany goes. Site visits here in Egypt, here on power plants, on the Rote Fadak Bridge under construction still, and also with companies, are giving students an insight on how what they learn in theory is being implemented in practice. This is a very essential issue. Workshops, competitions, and conferences are rounding our picture. All events where we have participated are supported by our students, so they are engaged, they are trained, and we try to make sure that they're also participating in an academic way so that they have an early exposure to such kind of events to make them self-assured by presenting their projects, and a number of students have been done this in a very successful way. In December 2019, the Smart City Conference, the first joint international conference on smart cities, has been performed here in the GOC. Very interesting projects have been presented. Quite a number of publications are launched by this conference, and most of the team of our group was represented by our students who have actively taken part in the preparation and organization and implementation of this conference. Here's some further pictures. We are planning to continue this with a new conference on smart cities to show the development and to represent ourselves on the international arena. The Egyptian Engineers Syndicate is annually performing the Civil Engineer Excellence Day, where the most successful bachelor projects in Egypt are being presented, and our program has been always represented with quite a number of excellent and very successful bachelor projects, in a way that we have received a very, very good response from the syndicate itself and also from other universities. We are making sure that our graduates are acknowledged and have the best job opportunities. And this is a ceremony where the Baden-Württemberg Chamber of Engineers has signed, together with the Egyptian Engineering Syndicate and the GOC, a memorandum to make sure that our students and graduates can later work also in Germany. We have been visited by the American Society of Civil Engineers and the Canadian Society of Civil Engineers. The heads have visited our program, and it was a very interesting talk, and the result was the establishment of a chapter for the students of the ASCE, the American Society of Civil Engineers. They are actively working, and they make sure that the bridge is also being built to those countries to make sure that job opportunities on the one hand, academic opportunities on the other hand, can be established. A big number of our graduates are continuing their studies basically all over Europe, especially in Germany. We have here Aachen University, Dresden, Darmstadt, Stuttgart, over the Atlantic in several universities in the States, in Canada, London, until New Zealand and Australia. And I forgot to mention that even one of our students went to Kyoto in Japan to continue the studies. An important part of our education is the link to the industries, to make sure that the future employers of our graduates are involved in upgrading our curriculum And we want to hear their feedback on our graduates. How are they performing actually in the practical world? How are they getting their theoretical knowledge into practical performance? So this is a very important cornerstone of our education, and we are in constant contact with the largest companies and best companies in the industries on all fields. And we can also say that the response so far on our graduates is, to the vast majority, a very positive one, and we are quite proud of our graduates. So I would like to close the short presentation at this point, and thank you for your attention.